Alright, you can see a little piece of, I'm guessing it's going to be the rubber, got stuck in the housing, and that's where the O-ring seal's at. So you're definitely going to want to clean that off, but you don't want to get ham on it. We're going to slightly scrape it off with a light razor blade. But again, we got to be careful because we don't want to scar the housing. But yeah, that's you can see where the coolant has actually stained the metal there. It's interesting. Alright, well, we'll get this thing cleaned up and put the new one in. Okay, with a sharp razor blade, we're going to lightly clean the housing. Yeah, it's definitely part of the rubber. Most of it will just come off with your hand, but you've got to be real careful. You don't really want to remove any material whatsoever. Yeah, it might be staying in there like that because it's not wanting to come off, and it's a very soft aluminum they're using for the front timing cover. Alright, we're just going to clean it up. Unlike the old days when they used to seal the front faces of the thermostats, now they're just using O-rings, which is nice. You don't have to use any RTV, so I won't hear that complaint from people. You too much RTV. Yeah, well, you don't live in an environment where, you know, one day you walk out, it's 12 degrees, the next day it's 60. I mean, that's just how it is where we're at. So you have to put some regards in for the area that you live in, and that's just the way it is. Like you live in California, temperature doesn't change all that much, or Florida, or Arizona.
California's like a dry state.
Yeah, but you go to Oregon or your northern climates, oh yeah, you can have winter for 8 months, summer for 8 months, and it's just hell on gaskets.
Where's the most rain at? Like in New York or something like that?
New York gets a fair share amount of rain.
Yeah. Other time it's always raining.
Yeah, you got to be careful with these because you just don't want to mess up your ceiling surfaces, especially here on the face of it. I gotta look at the thermostat housing.
Yeah, hold on.
Thermostat housing isn't too bad, so we're just going to clean that up with a little bit of brake cleaner. There's no pitting on it, so it's good to go. The O-ring should make up for any little imperfection, but it wasn't leaking, so we're good there. Now we did have a little leak starting to develop on the thermostat housing. Right about there, so I just took a razor blade and I'm just cleaning it up. I'm not going to sand it or anything crazy, I'm just going to get the contaminant off here. But other than that, it should seal, no problem. Okay, a couple minutes with the razor blade. You can see we got it clean again. This housing's in pretty good shape. I've seen a lot worse. It wasn't leaking before, so we're just going to clean up some brake cleaner and install it just like we took it off. And also, to make sure it doesn't leak, you need to pick a reference spot. So I had this little piece of discolorated steel here, so I know that was in my up position. And then there's a little bit of rust down here on the bottom where water will splash up just from road grime. So you want to try to put it back in the exact same position you found it. Okay, ready to install our new thermostat. Alright, so make sure you locate your bleeder valve. Make sure it's all the way in the up position. In fact, I'm going to mark it so I can see it. Okay, so I put a line here so I can see. I want to make sure it's in the utmost furthest position. I'm actually using a line here to here because we want the bubbles to rise and then we want them to come out. You don't want to use any RTV here because it will disintegrate the O-ring, and just simply push it in like so. Make sure it's fully seated. It's going to be hard in the camera to see, but this is protruding about 1/8 of an inch, so when you squish it down, it seals. You have to do it a little bit different than the OEM thermostat, but you can see this one's probably superior being it doesn't use a bunch of rubber here. Anyway, make sure air bubbles up, comes out this way, and you'll be good to go. Alright, now we'll put the top back on and we'll torque it to 9 foot-pounds. Alright, so it's going to be 108 inch-pounds or 9 foot-pounds. We're going to use a little bit of Loctite. These are through bolts, so we don't need to worry about sealing the threads. These are not through bolts. They're captured.
What's Loctite again?
Well, once it seals, it stops the bolt from trying to walk forward, and then stops the flange surface from leaking.
Yeah. Anything else you want me to know?
Not this. This is pretty basic stuff. I'm
in
happy to see that they're using just traditional housings, unlike the GMs where they're using the inlet thermostats, which are harder than hell to bleed.
Yeah.
This is kind of like an old school engine. One thing I will say about the Hemi is I do like the simplistic nature of it. I mean, it is drive-by-wire, but it's not mass airflow. It won't destroy your transmission if you lose a sensor. You know, I can see why a lot of people are switching to Dodge from Chevy and Ford just because they're simple. Now, don't get me wrong, Dodges have their issues too, but
yeah. I was about to say, I'm like,
you don't see. One thing I like with Dodge is they take care of their recalls, unlike Chevy that tries to skirt around them. Yeah, we had a recall, but it expired last month. But you just got the paperwork in the mail. Yeah, well, there you go.
oh man, I remember a lot of cars getting recalled and trucks.
Oh yeah, Toyota just had a big recall from 2013 on. Fuel pump.
Yeah.
You know, when a vehicle gets to about 10 or 15 years, should the auto manufacturer be on the hook for a fuel pump job? I don't know. Alright, so we're going to start. We're going to get these ran down, but we're not going to torque it. We're going to get them evenly started. We are going to need an inch-pound reader, because most torque wrenches start at 10. If this is 9, this is how you snap a bolt. So you definitely want to use an inch-pound reader. I got this one at Home Depot for 50 bucks. So they're not cheap, they're not expensive, but they're necessary.
I don't know, cars now built and trucks built plastic now.
It saves the manufacturing costs, even though these new trucks are $50,000 and halfway made of plastic.
Yeah, like
What's so expensive about it? Well, let me tell you, it's all the safety and emissions that they're having to put on. It's really driving the cost up. And I guess some of the amenities like backup cameras, I'm sure those cost money.
yeah. I mean, like, didn't cars used to be like metal?
No, they used to be. Now if you scratch them, you see Budweiser on the side.
Oh boy. It amazes me they went to plastic.
Yeah, plastic intake,
Plastic everything.
plastic valve covers.
Plastic, what is it? Front end.
Yeah, plastic bushings. So that's why you hear a lot of older Dodges squeak real bad when they're going down the road, when their ball joints go bad.
That just amazes me. So what
I had to use another extension. I don't like using extensions when I'm trying to get final torque, but in this case, I really don't have a choice due to the odd angle of the thermostat housing.
Don't you just feel for it?
No, you'll hear it click here in a sec. You don't want to over torque these bolts. It's not like the old days where you just grab a wrench and go ham. That's where you're going to break bolts. And then you'll be into it for a timing cover job.
Yep. Hit a click.
I'm going to go a little extra because I lost a little bit on the extension. But 9 foot-pounds comes up pretty quick.
How many clicks does it take?
Well, the click just tells you where you're at.
Well, how do you judge it then?
You just feel with your bottom of your hand, you keep it still, and that click pretty much tells you you're already at 108 inch pounds or 9 foot-pounds. A lot of these cars today are they're about torque specs. You know, it's not like the old days where you could almost build an entire engine without a torque spec. Today, you gotta use torque specs. Okay, thermostat is installed. The owner wants the lower hose changed out. I had to come from underneath because this clamp tool needs to expand and collapse. What? Yeah, that's why they call it dry rot.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I thought I quit drinking.
Want you get in your mouth?
Oh, hell no.
I can see all the coolant in there.
We're going to leave that clamp connected.
But it smells wonderful down there.
It doesn't smell like typical coolant. You know what it smells like? Windshield fluid.
Ew.
Yeah. You can see right here. This is where the clamp was, and this is where the nipple edge is. It was actually ballooning. So, it was going to have a problem with this hose maybe in the next 10,000 miles. So, this is why preventative maintenance is so important. Alright, we got to get the one off the radiator and then we're ready to put the new hose in. Alright, underneath the fender well, you can get to this clamp. It's just easier to take it off with the hose. Take it out through the fender well.
Whoa.
Yep, those are dangerous. Okay, both hoses are off. Okay, I'll put the brand new bottom one in. Alright, so you want to clean up your housings. The one thing nice with aluminum, you don't get as much corrosion because of corrosive antifreeze, which is nice. Then clean up your radiator connection.
Where's it at?
Down here. Alright, so water pump inlet, radiator side. We're going to do something a little different on this one because I don't want to be fighting with it like I did the Ford. We're going to put the clamp here first, shove the hose up. Make life a lot easier. So we're going to put the clamp on first. Then we're going to put the hose on. And I kind of have to play with this for a sec while you're getting your thing set. One thing with the aftermarket hoses, they are a little bit thicker, and albeit they will work, you will have to fight with it a little bit, like I'm doing right now. There we go. Let's get that, leave that in a good position, and drop the tool. And of course the tool gets stuck. They don't give you much flange surface, that's for sure. That's probably why it leaked as soon as I dropped it. Okay.
Alright.
One clamp down and one to go. Alright, clamp on first, hose on second. You want to feel for the nipple edge and be about a finger length back. Holding the tool in one hand and trying to get this hose sat with my other. This is kind of interesting. But I have the tool, finger length, finger length. Alright. And we left it in a good position for the next guy. If this ever has to be worked on or replace the radiator, you won't have a fight with it like I did. Alright, moving on to the top.
Ooh. Is that supposed to leak?
Well, that's the thing with these dry rotted hoses. They look good, but if they leak with just moving it that much, yeah, it's definitely time to replace them.
What are you doing?
Especially if you look right here. It's a little bit of a seep. It's not a leak, but you know, in time, another 10,000 miles, definitely would have had a little leak there going on.
Yeah. Anything in here?
No, just besides it's ballooning. Got a little bit of mud right there. Well, the camera can pick that up, but
The mud right there?
yeah, on the inside there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright, new tube. Upper hose.
Okay, clean up our surface real quick.
Already got a bunch of crap on that. Or hose there.
I'm not too worried about that. It's a lot easier to have the clamp on before than try to run over that nipple edge. Alright, find where your hose ends. So we wouldn't want the clamp here. We want it right after the nipple edge. And leave it square up so it's easy to get to from this guy. Alright, perfect. Now we can do the thermostat side and we're just about done. Alright, to make life easier for yourself, clamp on first, hose on second.
Whew.
Yeah, it would be nice if that tool worked a little bit better.
Yeah.
Now, unlike most of the things on this truck, there isn't a stopper here on the thermostat housing. Alright, that debacle's done with. Dinner time!
Dang!
Stay tuned for part 3 as we change the reserve tank in this 2010 Dodge Ram 1500.